Welcome to the ISO Show, dispelling myths and sharing tips for success to improve your business with ISO standards.
If you're listening to this podcast, then you're in great company. We've got thousands of listeners who have a thirst for continual improvement and raising standards in business. Whether your interest is in quality, sustainability, or risk standards, I'd love to welcome you as a member to our online platform for all things ISO, the Isology Hub. The Isology Hub is the leading place to get access to all of your online resources, from in-depth training courses through to our very popular coffee break training, to templates and action plans and many other resources to help raise standards. As a member, you get access to over 100 courses, taking you from learner to practitioner to leader. The Isology Hub has all the resources that you need, which will really help to make your life easier and to help improve compliance in those business critical areas. So if you'd like access to learning and compliance resources ranging from data privacy to environmental management, anti-bribery, business continuity, quality, health and safety, to name just but a few, the list is endless actually, then we'd love you to come and join us. Just head over to the isologyhub.com.
Hello everybody, welcome to another ISO show. I'm Ian Battersby, Senior ISO Consultant at Blackmores UK Limited. Today I'm going to be joined by one of my colleagues, Emma Coxhill, and we're going to talk about, this is episode 1 talking about this of 2, the Trusted Information Security Assessment Exchange, which has a snappier title, which I'll ask Emma about in a second. So welcome, Emma. How are you doing?
Thank you. Yes, lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's your first time on an ISO show, I believe?
It is. I've listened to many, but I'm very excited to be here.
Good. Well, looking forward to it. This is quite new to me. As everybody probably knows, information security isn't my strongest suit. We were at a sort of team day, a strategy a few weeks ago, weren't we? And you introduced this system, I will talk about in a moment, during the meeting, and it was complete news to me. I wasn't aware of it. Firstly, let's get it straight. What is the pronunciation? Is it sax of tea, or is it TISAX, or...?
I call it TISAX. I've heard TISAX as well.
Right.
But it is, as you said, it's known as TISAX, which is Trusted Information Security Assessment Exchange. So that's what it stands for.
Right. Not TISAX.
TISAX, yeah, however you want to pronounce it.
I'll go TISAX or TISAX then. Right, whatever you want. I'll go TISAX with you.
Okay.
Right, good. So tell us then, right, what is TISAX?
Okay, so this is a standard. It's an assessment developed by the automotive industry, by the German Association of the Automotive Industry, VDA, and it's managed by the ENX Association. So it's a standard that is based on the 27001 Annex A controls, so the ISO 27001 Annex A controls. And it's based on the automotive industry because they are looking to standardise the framework for assessing and sharing information security results between manufacturers and their suppliers. And this is all done through the ENX portal. So there are differences to 27 to TISAX, but this is all through the ENX portal.
Okay, right. So and we'll explore as we talk things like the ENX portal in a few minutes, won't we? So this is principally born out of sort of specific requirements in the automotive industry. Who's it applicable to then within that industry, and is it applicable to wider industries than that?
It's only for the automotive industry, but it's applicable to any organisation that handles sensitive data. So you're looking at areas like automotive suppliers, so any company providing parts, software, engineering or services to automotive manufacturers. You're looking at service providers who work with the OEMs. That stands for original equipment manufacturers.
Yes.
Car manufacturers, that's the big brand names that you hear. And that could be IT providers, cloud services, testing labs. Then you have companies handling prototypes or confidential development data.
Ah, right. I see. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this could be design studios, engineering consultants, testing facilities, or research and development partners. And then you've also got organisations processing personal data. So that could be HR, service providers, telematics providers, fleet management platforms, etc.
Right. So it's quite a broad range. Does it even extend to sort of like professional services which provide into the automotive industry as well?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just anything you can think of with the automotive industry, it covers, but only the automotive industry. There's nothing else comes into it.
Okay, right. And I see where it's coming from there in a way because of you talked about design, prototypes, that sort of thing. I can imagine there's quite a lot of sensitive IP within the industry then, isn't there? That needs protection.
Yeah, very sensitive data that needs to be protected. So they want to make sure that that is controlled correctly to prevent any leakage, especially of any new designs, for example, because new cars, they do keep them very well hidden.
Under wraps.
Under wraps, literally under wraps, yeah.
It's like literally under wraps in the automotive industry, isn't it? So why is this TISAX system so important then? What doors does it open for people? We'll talk about labels shortly, but if you own a label, what sort of doors can it open for you?
So it gives the automotive industry a trusted, standardised way to ensure information security across the entire supply chain. Without it, the OEMs, suppliers, they'll conduct their own audits, questionnaires, etc., and it'll be their own interpretations, which obviously could cause disaster because they'll have their own opinions and conflict and cause chaos, etc. So it just keeps it all standardised. It protects highly confidential automotive information, supports compliance with the data protection laws. So that's very important. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And also the biggest thing I think that most companies would like is access to new business, because many of those OEMs and the suppliers, they actually require TISAX. If you want to do any quotes.
So it's a mandatory.
It's becoming mandatory. Yeah, with
onto tenders now then?
Absolutely. Becoming mandatory. You're able to quote for high value projects. It will open the doors actually with even major OEMs if you've got TISAX.
Right.
So it's a big plus.
And because there's this information sharing sort of trust basis within it sounds, does it speed up, accelerate onboarding if you've got a mechanism for that info to be shared then? Because I'm used to organisations where you're answering the same RFQs and tender questions multiple times in multiple different ways. Does that help?
Oh, I've seen those questionnaires. I've been part of filling those out myself. They're very, very long questionnaires.
It's soul destroying, yeah.
It is soul destroying, and they're all different. So it's not like you can create something that you can use over and over again. But with TISAX, we'll talk about the portal later, but you can share your labels with whoever you want to, and it is a much, much, much faster way to onboard your new customers.
Well, that sounds good. Yeah, and on the converse of that, what's the downside then? If you don't have a TISAX label, what does that mean to you as a business?
Definitely loss of business opportunities, because, as we mentioned, most OEMs and suppliers now require TISAX. If you don't have it, you would lose out, basically. And also, you're probably perceived as a higher security risk and you look untrustworthy because you're less able to provide evidence that you protect confidential data.
Right.
There are also restrictions on the type of work you can bid for because of there would be a competitive disadvantage to you.
Ah, right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And as we mentioned before, delays on onboarding. Those questionnaires should reduce right down because you're just sharing labels via the ENX portal.
Right, yeah. So it lessens your administrative burden, yeah. So basically, in certain markets, No TISAX means no access.
Absolutely, that's the case. If you have your TISAX in place, you're reliable, you're trustworthy, and you can bid straight away for some higher projects with the OEMs, higher, bigger OEMs.
Now, those of us who are familiar with ISO's management system standards will understand the route to certification, but within TISAX, I understand you've got assessment levels as well. There's not just one level of certification, is there?
Yes, that's true. So with ISO, it's the same level for everybody. Everyone's on the same playing field.
Mm-hmm.
With TISAX, you're looking at 3 different levels depending on the sensitivity of your data. So 3 levels is number 1, which is normal risk. So that's just working with general processing confidential data. And with that, you will only do your self-assessment. Level 2 is confidential information, which is fairly standard, but that could be anyone who's in working with design documents or internal projects. And that requires self-assessment and an actual audit, which is actually an assessment, right? And then level 3 is the highly confidential or secret information. So that's the prototype, sensitive research and development information, restricted development environments. And that is an on-site. You'll need to actually have an order to come on physically on site to conduct the audit. So it's not just a remote audit, it's an on-site audit.
Okay, doesn't say physical access and everything else it included, right? Okay, and the third level then, I'm guessing that if you are working in directly into an OEM, for instance, they'll require you to be at that third level, will they?
Yeah, most people take level 2. However, if you are looking to work with some of the high spec OEMs, then level 3 is more ideal.
Right. Okay. And again, in a departure from management system standards, there are 3 subject areas, aren't there?
Yes, there are.
Could you clarify those?
Yes, so the 3 different areas are information security. So that covers general information security controls such as the policies, access controls, risk management, incident handling, and secure operations. That is the most common one that you will find people take. You've got the prototype protection that we discussed briefly earlier. That focuses on safeguarding physical and digital prototypes, design data, test vehicles, and confidential development information. And then also you have data protection. So that ensures proper handling of personal data in line with the legal requirements such as GDPR, PII, for example. So they're the 3 sections.
Right. And are these sort of core subject areas, are they mandatory for everybody? Do you have to have all of these in scope of what you're doing, or is it down to the customer's requirement or the particular type of supply chain you're in?
Absolutely. So what normally happens is you may get requests from your client who will tell you what to have for TISAX. Or if you're just doing it yourself, you can choose what you feel is most relevant. As I say, most people take information security, but data protection is quite another common one.
Right.
Prototypes is very bit more specialist.
Right. Okay. Yeah, understood. That makes sense. Yeah.
You can pick and choose which ones to have. You can have more than one as well. You don't have to just have one. You could have all 3 if you wanted to.
Right.
Or just 2 of them. So you can pick and choose.
Right. Fair enough. And it seems complex in many ways. How is it then implemented? How do you go about gaining your certification or your labels, as it's called?
There are many stages to TISAX that you go through. So the first area is actually just your awareness of TISAX, what the requirements are, getting ready for what you're going to be doing. So that's looking into what your clients may be requesting you to take, looking into costs, looking into requirements. The ENX website will give you information there, including a handbook that you can download, as well as the self-assessment. Then you go on to the preparation. Now, the preparation is working you towards the main assessment. So the preparation, you need to complete your scope and register yourself on the ENX portal. So you'll go onto the ENX website and then you'll register yourself, and the scope has to be including the levels we talked about, so the 1, 2, 3 levels, which subject area you're looking at, you need to put in which location that you're covering. Now, the little difference between 27 and TISAX is you have to put the individual offices in.
Right.
So you can't say all offices in the UK. You have to literally label every single one of those. You have to put them in. And then you need to download the self-assessment. Again, that's on the ENX website. And that's what you need to complete. You need to complete the self-assessment, which has a grading level.
Right, okay.
And that's grading maturity levels. So you're looking at 3s or above. That's what you're aiming towards, because the pass rate is 2.71.
So is that like a gap analysis as we'd understand it? Yep. But it's got a formal scoring mechanism against it.
Yeah, it's known as gap analysis everywhere else, but they call it self-assessment. So you're going through all your controls. The only difference is
They all be the same.
No, why not? The data protection one is slightly different, and you just put okay or not okay. But the reason you put your grading in is because you then also have a results tab, and it does some in the background calculations, and it will tell you where you are. So as you put in your grading, so it's 0 to 5. 2 is what most people put in, but you need 3. So that's where confusion happens. So 2 and 3 is one to keep an eye on, because there's a big difference.
Yeah, and again, if you've got gaps then, in that system, do you have to then formally assign tasks to fill the gaps?
Absolutely, yes. You
Right.
To be ready for the assessment, you need to be as close to 3 as possible, if not above.
Right, okay.
So again, the pass rate is 2.71, so you can go to that results and you can have a little look to see where you're at. And it'll also, it's pretty good. It has graphs and it has a table that shows you exactly where the gaps are, which you can work on. You need to work on those gaps to get yourself up as close as possible to level 3.
Right.
And try and get that pass rate. When you're ready to, that's when you can start looking into an official assessor to carry out your audit. I do recommend you conduct internal audits in the meantime to check your readiness for audit.
Again, right. That sounds very familiar then. So you don't just rely on submitting to the external audit without really understanding where you are at the moment then. And that external audit, who's conducting those then?
So it has to be an official TISAX auditor. So one of the bodies, that we've seen many times. There are various ones out there now, so you need to go and do a bit of research and get some quotes. So once you've decided on an auditor, then you will discuss the assessment itself. What normally happens with an assessment is a kick-off meeting, first of all.
Uh-huh.
So you don't have to have a kick-off meeting, but we recommend it. That kick-off meeting, you'll go through with your auditor, requirements, etc. But also the key point is evidence. How does the auditor want to receive your evidence?
Right.
So that could be their own portal, or you could share it somehow like Google Drive or something. You can share your evidence. What the auditor would do is then go away and conduct their own audit offline themselves with your evidence provided. So that self-assessment you will send to the auditor with all your evidence. They will sit and go through it all, do some checks. Your next audit with them is to actually go through what they have found, and then they might have some gaps that they need filling in. So it's kind of a double audit, really.
Yeah. So they'll do what we think of as sort of a traditional documentary review, and then some follow audit leads from that to see where you may have further evidence that you'd not submitted in the first place then, yeah.
Exactly. They'll have some more questions. And then from that second audit, and then obviously you've got the level 3, which is on site, but level 2 is remote, and level 1 you don't need an audit. So if you're doing a level 2 and a level 3, they will then provide you with your results. And you will get either minor non-conformities, opportunities for improvement, or observations. Very standard across normal.
We'd recognise that then, yeah,
Yes.
fine. Okay.
And then it depends on what you receive is what your next action is.
Right, okay. Do you need to address non-conformities before you reach the certification, or can you have things open with a view to an action plan for the future?
If you have any non-conformities, you have to produce a corrective action plan. If you just get just opportunities for improvement, etc., you'll straight away get a label because they're just...
Right, fine, yeah, as we understand them to be, yeah.
Yeah, but non-conformities, you have to set up within 2 weeks of your audit a corrective action plan.
Mm-hmm.
And then from that, the auditor has to approve it. So you have to send it back to the auditor for them to approve it. And then you're given, or you actually state which you're going to have, which is over 3 months to achieve it, 6 months. If you need more than that, up to 9 months, you can work on your corrective action plan, but you have to give justification. So 6 months should be the maximum.
Right, fair enough.
And then once everything is all done and the auditor is happy and signed off, that is when you'll receive your permanent label.
Right. Now, that takes me on then to labels. You mentioned labels a few times. I don't understand what label means, really. I mean, it's something you stick to something that might be a consumable item. I don't know. So why have we got labels rather than certificates?
Okay, I do a comparison to 27001 because that's the most closest and what it's based on. So with 27001, you receive a certificate when you've achieved your completion. That certificate can be shared with anybody, can be put on websites, etc. It's not really controlled, so anyone can edit it, do a thing with it. And also with 27001, you're on one level, so everyone has exactly the same. And once you've got your certificate, everyone's the same.
Yes.
TISAX labels are different because you're doing different subjects to other people.
Right.
You're doing different levels to other people, and it's only on the ENX portal only. So only other TISAX clients can actually see your labels. So it's very controlled.
The cert on your website or that sort of thing, you only share that data with the people who really need to see it within that supply chain then?
Yes, it's only with those only. So you can put on your website that you've got TISAX, but the actual information, what level, which subject, etc., is only on the ENX portal.
Right. Okay. Oh, you've segued very nicely. Sorry, carry on.
Well, I just want to say, it also depends what you do with that label when you're on the ENX portal.
What is the portal? And how does it help with the onboarding process for suppliers?
Okay, so the ENX portal, so from the ENX website, that's where you sign in, you go on the portal. That's when you've put your scope in, you've allocated what you're going to be doing, etc. And there's a fee to pay, unfortunately, of course.
Of course, yes.
To sign up, yeah. And this portal is where everything is managed. And it's a single source of truth for TISAX. So as we said earlier, certificates could end up wherever, could be edited. But this for TISAX is where you register, all your scopes and objects defined. It's also where the auditor will upload your report and your findings. And it's where the labels are issued. So with those labels, you control who sees what. So when you're on the ENX portal, you can decide to be just open and everyone can just find you and see your status. Or you can keep them hidden and people need to come and contact you to request sharing of labels, of information. So it's very controlled, a lot more controlled. And the way it helps with onboarding is, again, those lovely questionnaires. We love those questionnaires. Those supplier questionnaires. Instead, your clients can, if they are TISAX also, they can just go and request your label or go and find your label.
And you use that great phrase, the one version of the truth.
Yes.
You're not repackaging things in different senses for different people, different customers, markets, whatever. You put it on there, and if you allow somebody access to it, it's the same thing for every single person.
Yeah.
And it's aligned to the audit process that you've submitted to as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, it's a very well controlled system just for the people who require it, for nobody else.
Sounds good. The one thing it does sound like, not only just being that one version of the truth, I talked earlier about admin burden. This must be a bit of a boon for people who'd been used to the old-fashioned way of doing things. It must be much better to know your data's there and shareable in that manner and shareable in the same sense every time without having to go through the admin, yeah?
Oh, exactly. And you're controlling who sees what.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more confidential, secure way of sharing that information. But yeah, very much easier on the portal. Much, much easier.
Right, good. So where do people start? if you're in a company that wants to be involved in the supply chain for the automotive industry, where do you begin if you want to earn a TISAX label?
Okay, first of all, do your homework, a little bit of research into it, obviously things like costs, etc. But define your scope first of all.
Right.
So have a look at what sites you want to include. You don't have to include everyone in the UK, for example. You can, if you've got 5 sites, you only have to do 2, whatever works. Work out if you have any clients that require you to have TISAX.
Yeah. Do I have to?
Check with them what they're looking for, because you don't want to go halfway through TISAX and then you suddenly get asked, oh, actually, we really wanted you to have level 3 and you're on level 2. Find out first and what the requirements are. And then also look at your levels that you're looking at and also the subject areas that you want to apply. Then again, look at the resources. There are budgets. You will need to pay money, not just to register on the portal. There's audit costs, etc. You will need people to do a lot of work. It's not a 2-week job. It is a quite full-on project. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. You need to have dedicated people to actually do this work.
Right.
And that is things like going over all of the controls, doing that self-assessment, looking at your policies, procedures, maybe creating policies and procedures, training, for example. Again, timescales, I know we're going to look at later, but timescales, it's not a 2-week job. It's quite a big project.
Right.
Make sure you get buy-in from your management. So whoever your management is, make sure they're involved. You need their help and support. And then, of course, reach out to someone like Blackmores. We've gone through this quite a few times. We know what we're doing, hopefully. We're here to help and support. So, yeah. So then once you've registered on your ENX portal, then you're good to go to start your self-assessment. That's your key place to start once you're ready.
Right. Okay. So there's quite a lot of information there. It sounds like people who are prepared for a management system standard will probably be in a position to be able to drive this sort of thing, but it's not quite the same, is it?
Yeah, exactly. So you are putting this management system in, but it is just a different way from 27,001 slightly. So yes.
Right. Okay, that's great. So, as I said right at the beginning, we have 2 episodes on this. The next episode, we are going to basically compare and contrast TISAX with ISO 27001. So thank you, Emma, for that so far. I will return to you on episode 2. How was it for you on your first trip into the ISO show? I hope everything was okay.
It was lovely. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. Looking forward to the next one then.
Good. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you.
So before we go, I'd like to highlight an upcoming webinar we'll be hosting on the 18th of March 2026, where Emma, our good friend here, will be going into a lot more detail about achieving a TISAX label, including providing guidance on how to complete the VDA self-assessment. Remember, VDA is the organisation, the German automotive industry organisation, which has created this system. Webinar attendees will also be able to grab some freebies from us, such as a free ISO 27001 versus TISAX comparison guide and some discounts on Blackmores TISAX services. A link to register to that event will be available in the show notes. So, again, before I go, thank you everybody for joining us today. Thank you, Emma, for being my guest. Can I just remind everybody to subscribe on your preferred media player if you've not already done so? And please, if you have a few minutes spare, could you leave us a nice shiny 5-star review if possible on whichever medium you use? The review process does help us to reach a wider audience, so it's very useful to us. As always, if you've got any questions or suggestions for future topics, please feel free to send them in to us. Either email us directly or comment in your media player. We'd love to hear from you, particularly around ideas for new shows and things you're interested in. So that's all from me today. Thank you all for listening, and we'll catch up with you on the next ISO show.
Looking to use ISO standards to drive better business practice? Contact us at blackmoresuk.com to access further information and book your free 15-minute call.